Hello, this is Fuyang Hai, and welcome to part 2 of my review of Master Grade VO. Now, before I go into articulation, I'm just going to show this guy in a quick 360. This way you can see how massively big this kit is. It takes up a lot of shelf space, but it's definitely an eye catcher. Okay, now let's go into articulation, and let's start as usual with the head. So let's zoom in there a bit so you can actually see it. The head is on a simple ball joint. It goes up and down, side to side, rotate 360 degrees quite easily. The ball joint is quite stiff, so it actually takes a bit of force to move it, but I think it's nice and tight, it's not too loose. Now there's also a neck joint that makes it move forwards and backwards. So let's go to the shoulders. The shoulders are, yeah, they look pretty damn nice. But they have a problem. They are loose. Very, very loose. So you're going to have to apply some glue on the insides of it to make it a bit more stiff, because this is just ridiculous. It does have a sweet spot where it's a bit more tight, but I sure cannot find it. So that's annoying. It's not all that bad once it has a pose, but just getting it there might be a bit troublesome. Anyways, articulation of this thing. The vent here can move up, and this part here goes up as well. This is on a ball joint, this one's on a peg. Since this one's on a ball joint, it can rotate 360 degrees and wiggle around. So that's it for the shoulders. Now for the arms themselves, the arms are a surprise for me, because they can move in quite a bit. So you can actually make him hold something. If you have a sword or something you want to let him hold, he can hold it no problem. So that's a very nice feature. The arms themselves go 360 without any problems, and if you put the shoulder armor out, it can go out like this, so pretty damn far. And let me turn him around a bit. It can bend at 2 points in the elbow, making him able to do practically a 180 degrees bend. If the shoulder armor wasn't there, he would be able to pull it off. But that's not all. He also has a joint in the wrist. Joint goes up and down. If you put them together, awesome, awesome posability with the arms. The hands, some people might recognize them. Surely not by shoulder guard, but once I turn them around and open them up, they are exactly the same hands as the RX-78-2 version 2.0. This has its pros and its cons. The pro is a very big one though. Each finger, although these last three are connected, they each have point of articulation. Each finger can individually bend. So, which I thought was a very nice feature. You can actually get in some pretty crazy poses. But I saw some reviews about the real grade RX-78, which had a joint in the thumb. So that's a bit of a downer for me that this guy doesn't have it, because it's basically looking at the hands, it's outclassed by the real grade. Now, since we're looking at the chest, let's go on to the cockpit. It slides out, and it can drop its armor piece, but it can open up, and inside, you gotta take my word for it, is a pilot figure. I'm not even gonna try to zoom into that because you cannot see it anyways. Let's just put this armor piece back on, close it up, slide it in, and actually the sliding mechanism of the cockpit is very easy to do. It doesn't lock into place or anything like that to make it more easy to actually use it. Now, for the waist itself, it has 2 points of articulation, but it really needs both of them to be able to do a little bit of wiggling like this. It's not all that amazing, but yeah, this is where the bulk comes in. It's just too bulky to be able to move at his waist very well. It does rotate a little bit side to side, as you can see, but nothing really dramatic. I probably can force it to go a bit further, but these hoses are individually segmented, as you can see if I zoom in a bit. They're individually segmented and they are on a very thin plastic piece. So if I force it, it might break, and these things are all over the floor, and I don't want to go through the trouble of collecting them again. Yes, during the building of this kit I dropped both of them at the same time, and you have like 40 of these things on the floor. Anyways, let's continue. The front skirts are on a ball joint, so they can move in and out, of course, go up as far as this, and they can hold. They're actually pretty solid. It's not on a polycap, it's just inner frame on inner frame, which is made from ABS, so it's actually quite sturdy. So the side skirts are on a peg and on a polycap, so they can move up, down. They can go side to side, as you can see, but even though it's on a polycap, it's really stiff. So it might smoothen up over time, but yeah, in the beginning it's pretty damn stiff, which I think is good because I'm not planning to move it anyways. The back skirt, if I hold this guy still, goes up and down a little bit. I wasn't expecting it to move, but luckily it does. Now for the legs, let's see. Yeah, the legs are a bit difficult to do because they're so big. So just get the hand out of the way. If you want to move it, you can move him forward this far, pretty damn far. And if you balance him, he can stand like this. Don't know why you would want to do that, but that's what he can do. And the leg can go backwards, not all that far because the back skirt doesn't let it. Now, to go into the articulation of the legs itself, I'm just going to have to get a leg off and put the model somewhere safe. Now, the articulation of the leg really surprised me because it looks like it's a brick and pretty immobile, but if you bend it practically 180 degrees, which is very surprising, but a very welcome surprise. Now it can also, it's a bit difficult to see, but it can move a little bit like so. So the panel or flap, whatever it is, moves there. And it has sliding mechanism like that. It's the only place in the whole kit where it's even possible to do it. So it's there, and yeah, it's a nice touch. It's not that spectacular, but it's there. So it's mostly beneath some huge skirt armors, so you probably won't see it anyways, but what can we do about it? So this flap is on a peg, but it really cannot do anything else on this. The flap here is also on a peg, but it can move a little bit more. Still nothing spectacular, but hey, it still moves. So that's something that's welcome. Now, in here is also a separate piece of armor, which can go, if I move it like this, it can go up and down quite a bit. So that's also a nice touch. So there is quite a bit of mobility in the leg. Now for the ankles, you get basically standard master grade articulation, side to side, forwards and backwards. And it rotates a little bit, but because there are all kinds of hoses here, it will not go 360 without destroying them. Now the feet themselves are not all that articulated. They just go up here, straighten down, and this thing, that's it. That's all the articulation you're gonna get. Now, I'll wrap this one up here, because I'm probably approaching the time limit. And I'm just gonna go in part 3, I'm gonna go over the inner frame, but before the inner frame I'll just go over the weapons and its gimmick. So look out for that.